Welcome to We Design Live. My name is Jonathan Kyle Farmer, but you can call me Kyle. I am the chair of the new MFA Fashion Design program here at FIT in New York. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the program, and then we're going to open up to some questions later, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the program, about me and my background, and so on and so forth. So let me talk to you about the program. It's a 2-year full-time program, MFA, Master of Fine Arts in Fashion Design. There is a fundamental core sort of series of words that sort of summarize what this program is about, which is idea, play, focus, edit, and conclude. Now, those words are really sort of fundamental as a map, as a roadmap for the program. Idea is basically what it is you want to do when you come to this program, when you apply. What is your idea? What is your unique idea around fashion that you feel can contribute in a more meaningful way than simply more ready to wear? Because we all know we don't need any more fashion, but what we do need is more fashion with soul and meaning and intention. So what is your idea? What have you done in your life? What experiences have you had that have made you think that you've got something unique to bring to the conversation? And based on your application, you will be possibly awarded a place. We generally get about 130 to 150 applications, and we have 8 places available. Sorry, no we don't. We have 18 places available. So it's a highly competitive program, and the people that get in really bring something unique to the conversation. So we have people that have applied to the program with fashion backgrounds, a traditional BFA in fashion. We also have people that have applied with backgrounds in architecture, mathematics, philosophy, French literature, all sorts of things. So, and that unique perspective coming from a non-traditional fashion background is also really interesting for us to be able to expand the dialogue around what it means to be a fashion designer and what it means to be a new kind of fashion designer as we move forward in time and space in this industry. So once you get in the program, we do semester 1, where we spend a semester playing. And now the semester 1 is called Play, and it's not about frivolous games. It's more about defining the rules of your game. What is it that you are doing within the boundaries of your own thinking, your own lexicons, your own languages, to explore and play in ways that you've never done before, have conversations with people that you've never had before, you know, really exploring without any real sort of final outcomes as a deliverable, but instead giving yourself room to make mistakes and enjoy those mistakes and learn from those mistakes. So you spend 1 semester playing. You'll try equipment, technologies you never tried before. You'll discover things that you never even knew were possible. Because we all know the things that we know. But the things that we don't know are the things that are most interesting. So those accidents, those accidental innovations that happen, whether you like it or not, just by simply trying and not expecting to know the outcomes. So based on that semester, the semester of play, you go into semester 2 where we focus on the best bits of that. So semester 2 is called Focus, and we focus on all the things that we weren't expecting. You know, there's amazing aha moments, those eureka moments that really sort of blow your own mind as to, my God, I didn't realize I could do that. So we focus on those things, and we team you up with industry supports, and of course your faculty and your professors. And we team you up with industry mentors that might be from a fashion industry, but could also be from economics, psychology, physics, chemistry, color theory, you name it. You know, it's up to, it all depends on your personal thesis and your own personal investigation into what it is you're trying to do with fashion based on that original idea, which is constantly evolving. So in that focus, you start to design, develop the collection, which is a deliverable of 12 looks in toile in the next semester, which is edit. So we go into the edit phase. We are developing the collection. We're using all the things that we've built on from our previous semesters, our previous experiences, our relationship with our mentors. And then we go into the prototyping stage, where the prototypes are generated in relationship with industry. So you're not working in a vacuum. You are working towards things that are real. It's not another collection that you get 5 minutes on the runway and then those clothes go into oblivion. The clothes are meant to have a life beyond the school, beyond the institution. which make them market ready. So, again, using those sort of boundaries as a creative tool as opposed to something that is considered commercial, but using that word as a creative mechanism to produce work that is meaningful, but also real and obtainable, and, for want of a better word, wearable. But that word is, anything could be wearable if it's on a body. And again, we've got very different types of students. So, we have people that are coming from a fine art background, and their work is very much a sort of atelier kind of one-off production system, where we have others that are exploring production systems that are more mass manufactured, and their thesis might be around exploring the best way to make a sustainable t-shirt that has less waste, and so on and so forth. So after your edit phase of 12 look in toile, you go into your final semester, which is called conclude, where you complete the collection. We edit down to 8 to 10 looks from those 12, and you then present that work to the world. The work is presented in a number of ways. You do a thesis defense, where you will stand on a stage in front of an audience of about 200 people in the Katie Murphy Amphitheatre here at FIT, and you will defend your thesis. You will talk about how you came in and where you ended up and what happened along that journey, and the hows, wheres, whys and what fors. We also produce a magazine for you, which again documents your entire process here at FIT, how you came in and how you've left, alongside editorials and fashion film and so on and so forth. We will do a small exhibition in May, which is when you graduate, and that is a exhibition that is a portfolio viewing for headhunters and financial backers and so on. It's not a big exhibition because we keep that private until we show our work in September in some kind of presentation during New York Fashion Week. So, that's the thesis trajectory of the program. There's lots of other courses that live alongside them. The first graduating year that we have is actually this coming May. So the course is brand new. I've only been at FIT for 3.5 years. I was brought in specifically to design and build this program. And so in May we see the fruits of that for the first time. And then, of course, September is when we do our first show during Fashion Week. And we don't know what that's going to look like yet, because we are trying to reimagine what fashion shows look like, because there's a lot of them. So really thinking about how we can stand out and elevate the work to a place that people take notice, and not just another fashion show that, again, like, we don't need any more clothes, we don't need any more shows. So why are we special? What's unique about this program? So just to give you some other more sort of academic side to the program, we have lecture courses that sit alongside the program's studio-based work. We have a class in semester 1 called The Fashion Activist. That course is a lecture course that really explores how your decision-making as a designer can impact the world. So, it's not just a case of you sitting in a studio, sketching up a red dress and then just making it happen, but really understanding about the impact on humanity, society, environment, about decision-making as a designer. Where does that red dye come from? How does it impact the environment? How does it impact society and the people making the clothes, and so on and so forth. So really thinking about your decision-making as a fashion designer to make the work, like I said, meaningful. I'm going to say that a lot. The other course that's really interesting is one called Craftology. Craftology explores the relationship between craft and technology through the lens of time, and really thinks about what's the difference between craft and technology other than time. So, if you think about a caveman and a chicken bone with a hole in it, whip stitching the leather together to make clothes, that once upon a time would have been considered technology, it was an invention. So getting yourselves to look at yourself as future historians and thinking about your work now and how it's going to impact the future, for generations to come. What is the work I'm doing? Why is it important? Why should it exist? And what is my making and my fashion language, and why is it valuable, and so on. What else have we got? We've got design archaeology, which is really exciting course. So as you'll know, FIT has one of the world's most extensive fashion archives, both physical garments and flat materials, so illustrations and books and so on. And Dr. Valerie Steele has kindly given us access to the archive where we can look at, you know, original Givenchy, Balenciaga, Chanel and Dior pieces, which is one we just did, and the students are then charged to replicate as close to the original as possible these vintage pieces, these antique pieces, to learn the true understanding of what it means to copy something. So understanding plagiarism within the language of fashion design, and when is it okay to be inspired by, and how far you can go with inspiration as opposed to copying, and plagiarism. So they replicate the garment from an original piece from the archive, and then they develop a collection from that really speaks to their own sort of design language, but also importantly, as if they were the new design director for Givenchy or some other label that they're working on. So the results of that were really good, and also we produced a small exhibition showing the process of that work, which we've just taken down actually at the museum at FIT a couple of weeks ago. So we have lots and lots of sort of ways in which we show your work beyond the end of the 2 years. We do 2 international making seminars. The first one is called FIT Investigates Fit, where we take you to London, Paris and Milan to explore and understand the history of, the evolution of, and the future of fitting clothing. Because fit is often seen as an afterthought actually. It's like, I'm going to design something and then I'm going to fit it. So getting students to really understand fit as a concept, as a design tool, through tailoring. So like I said, we go to London, Paris, Milan, we go to the V&A archives, last time we visited Hussein Chalayan Studios to understand his process and how he designs and how he fits clothing. We also look at it from a sort of ethnology kind of perspective, where, you know, what does it mean to fit into to an environment. We also go to car production, vehicle design places, architectural spaces, to look at fitting through ergonomics and fit beyond the body but beyond clothes, so car, environment, space, and then how that will inform the fit of a garment. The second one is called Fashion Farming. The first one we did was in Japan, where we explored the history of denim, and they produce a symposium here at FIT where the students will present their findings around denim in a relationship between local and global production systems through the lens of agriculture. So that's why it's called Fashion Farming. My name is Jonathan Kyle Farmer. So farmer at the end, it's a bit of a play on my own name, but really thinking about farming through fast fashion and mass production of food, and through atelier production, sort of small production, and more sort of artisanal foods and cooking, and making those comparisons between those two. The next one is in Peru, where we explore alpaca and production of alpaca in Peru, and so on. So what else do I want to talk to you about? Maybe I can talk to you about your portfolio. So I'm looking for something unique in your work. I'm not looking for another fashion design portfolio. I'm not interested in croquis. I'm not interested in other people's fashion. If I see other people's work in your portfolio, I'm not interested. I'm looking to see how you work, how you think, how you design, not how you have reappropriated somebody else's design ideas and design aesthetic. If you can't draw, you can't sew, find other ways of communicating what you're trying to say, what you're trying to do, because some of the best people in the world cannot do those things, but they are genius designers. So finding your own visual language and your own sort of syntax to be able to blow my mind, essentially. So yeah, what is a portfolio? I mean, I've got something here which I often use called, a portfolio is nothing more than a package that offers readable translations framing original labours, ideas and outcomes. So portfolio. What is a portfolio? A portfolio is nothing more than you working on a page. There's no right or wrong way of doing something. I'm not looking for clones of people. I'm not looking for photocopies of people. I'm looking for the individual. And in this day and age, a portfolio is so much more than pages in a book or a sketchbook. You've got video. You've got sound engineer. You can really bring different sort of design tools and from different disciplines, not fashion disciplines, to really be able to use them in a design space to move fashion design forward into a new world. I mean, that's what we need to do, right? We need to bring people onto graduate level fashion design education to change it, not to do what's been done before, but to elevate it to a new space where we can create new conversations around, as I said earlier, what it means to be a fashion designer. So that's the program in a nutshell, really. I don't know what else I can say to you in regards to that specifically. I'm open to questions if you have any now.
Okay, so some students ask, what make FIT MFA fashion design program different from similar programs in other design schools like Parsons or Pratt? Yes.
Okay, so the main difference is, like I said, is the thesis process. Typically on graduate level, the thesis work is done in about 1.5 semesters at the end of the 2-year program. That's the same for Royal College, St. Martin's. The first year is more sort of exploratory, lots of design projects coming from industry, and then the second year is around thesis. My program, the thesis runs for 2 years. So like I said, you come in with this idea, you explore the idea in a much slower pace so that you can really understand what it is you're trying to do, why you're trying to do it, why is it important. And, we all talk about the fashion industry being too fast and designers having to generate, 6 collections a year. That's a lot. And because of the speed in which we are expected to produce, it creates a lot of sort of anxieties around, is it good enough? You look at musicians and, they're not expected to put out, 6 albums a year. So as a fashion designer, why should we have to put out 6 collections a year? So this program has been designed to assist the students in slowing down the process of understanding what it is they do and why they do it.
Okay, so the next question, so you just said the FIT MFA fashion design program is open to students with a range of different backgrounds. I mean, like, what quality you guys looking for when choosing the potential applicants?
Again, it's very difficult to put it's like the X factor, right? It's like, why is somebody good and why is someone else not? It's about that unique quality in the work. And I've taken people on one page of their sketchbook and other people have submitted all this work and there's nothing in there. But then there's someone else that I could look through a sketchbook and I'm like, oh my God, that one moment, I know I could work with that person. And that's what it's about. I'm trying to build a team. I'm trying to build a group of students, 18 students per year, with a diverse background, diverse understanding of what it is to be or what they want to be as a designer. And even though the program's called an MFA in fashion design, my hope is that my students graduate and go into all different industries and maybe don't even want to call themselves fashion designers. Maybe they want to call themselves body architects or, fabric engineers. I don't know, right? It's up to them. And that's why this program is so unique, is because there is room for these different people to produce different types of work. So, and also, when you come from a fashion design background, as I did, you're taught that there's a right way of pattern cutting and a wrong way of pattern cutting. Well, not taught that, but there's systems in place. Sometimes when you've not got that formal background, that formal understanding of what it is to be a fashion designer, the right way to move a dart, the wrong way to move a dart, this is how you make a shirt, this is how you don't do it, it gets in the way of invention and innovation. So, by not having that formal training, in a group of students that might have that formal training, I'm one person, my faculty are a team of people that work very closely together, but the students in that group will learn from each other as well. You know, they'll see an architect working around the body, and they'll go, oh my God, I could apply that to my thinking as a pattern cutter. So the conversation at graduate level is not about me telling you how to do something. You know, this is not a bucket fill system where you come and I turn you into a designer. You should already be one, and you just come to explore that more on your independently. It's not a taught program, but you know, in conversation with myself and my faculty and your peers. So yeah, I mean, you know, that's what graduate level research is, you know.
Okay, so some people ask, how about the job opportunities after students graduate from FIT?
So, as I said, we don't have a graduating year yet from this program. So our first graduating year is May. However, one of my students has already been offered a position as a senior designer for CLO. CLO is a virtual, a 3D digital rendering space for pattern cutting. So she was offered a position not long ago. So she's going straight into work. It's a good question. I don't know yet. I mean, I'm hoping that the students will, like I said, go into industries that are beyond fashion design, launching their own labels, possibly PhD research. But ask me again in a year, because then I'll have some students that have graduated and I'll be able to tell you. But I'm pretty sure, based on the work that I'm seeing, that they are all very employable in very dynamic spaces.
Okay, so some people ask, so basically if they want to apply for this program in FIT, so maybe they do not come from the fashion background. I mean, do they have to, you know, sign up for any activities that's related to designing before applying for the program?
So I think, again, first of all, if you don't have a fashion background, you need to ask yourself, why am I now applying for a fashion design MFA, right? So it's like, why do you want to come here? What is the shift in your thinking that makes you want to now suddenly do an MFA in fashion design if you have a background in something else? There must be something that you're already doing that makes you think that this is the right move for you. If you've just watched an episode of Project Runway, or you like shopping for clothes, then this is not the right program for you. You need to know that this is a highly academic space where it's a personal investigation into what you're trying to do as a designer. So there could be a possibility that when I interview, I might suggest that you take a crash course in basic cutting or draping, but it's all very personal, one-on-one. It's not about a right way or wrong way of doing something, but I always say to people, if you want to be a knitwear designer, don't wait for a class in knitwear, go and buy some knitting needles, right? It's the same thing. I've been designing clothes since I was 7 years old. I just knew that that's what I wanted to do with my career. That's what I wanted to do with my life. You don't have to wait for it. And in fact, the people that come on the program and are successful on the program are people that are already doing the work, and they just want to come to have a conversation with people about the work and to continue doing the work. The people that come to the program who are expecting me to wave a magic wand and turn them into a fashion designer, that's not the right way to go.
Okay, so some people ask, like, for current students who are already enrolled in the program, like what country they mainly come from?
They're coming from all over the place. We have lots from China. We have students from America, of course. We have Japan, Korea, Argentina. Who else have I got in there? India, Taiwan. It's a very diverse group of students, and that is really exciting. You know, every year we get broader and broader application pool, and I look forward to that sort of diverse conversation in the group, you know, because that's where exciting things happen, you know. So yeah, I look for the best person. I don't care where you come from. As long as you've got a good portfolio and you're humble and you're willing to learn and you're willing to try and you're willing to push yourself, because it's not easy. I'm not easy. It's a tough process. It's a very hard process, but you grow and you come out at the end of it in 2 years and go, my gosh, I didn't even know I was capable of that. But you have to be open.
Yeah. So, so do a lot of students, they do internships during the program?
No. So internships are typically for undergraduate level people. I don't encourage internships to happen. They should have done that kind of work at undergraduate level. I encourage students to maybe in the summer period maybe they can do some work, but you know the schedule is so intense on the program. It's like I said, 2 years full time. You don't have time for an internship. You know, it's something that comes later, I think, or not. No, it's something that you should have done before. If you're coming from a non-fashion background and you feel the need for some industry experience, I would suggest that would happen sort of in the winter and summer breaks from the program, but not during the semester time.
Okay, so do FIT have some like now competitions for those fashion design students?
Again, so competition is a very undergraduate way of working. I don't allow competitions on the program. The only competition that we do is and it's a graduate level competition only, which is the CFDA Jeffrey Bean competition, which we won last year. The first time we entered, we won that, which was wonderful. So competitions sort of, in my opinion, competitions become the focus because there's a prize at the end of it. At graduate level, you should be in the work just to be doing the work. The competitions that we will be entering are going to be competitions like the LVMH and ITS, because the work will already exist and it's about submitting that work once it's done, as opposed to doing competitions during the semester, because you know the attraction of the money takes away from the curriculum. So it's the same as an internship. You know, these things are there and they're great for a certain type of level, but when you're in undergraduate graduate work, you've got to be like focused on your own work and not be sidetracked by glamorous prizes or internships, because you know they become all consuming.
Yeah. So some students ask like, so basically we are in the era of AI probably can do anything. So
Yeah.
sometimes right now people they already use AI to do arts.
Yeah.
So what's your thought about AI in the fashion design industry? Do you think that AI in the future probably can replace designers?
So it's a really good question. The answer is no, because you know the AI is artificial, right? That's artificial intelligence. We need non-artificial intelligence to create the artificial intelligence. You know, the interface between hand and machine is, you know, going back to the class craftology. You know, there's never anything that's going to replace the humanity, which is the emotion, right? That's the thing that the computer doesn't have, is the humanity and the emotion. And that's what fashion design is. It's not about just clothes. It's about what we as creatives inject into that clothing, the emotion, the love, the hate, the rage. You know, it's not, fashion has become a little bit kind of like fashionable. So, you know, everybody's now a fashion designer. So my goal is to sort of take back the title of fashion designer and really own it again, through craft, through making, through pattern cutting, through sewing. But, you know, not that doesn't mean we can't explore AI and have a conversation with that space. I don't think it's ever about replacing. But I do think it's about learning how to work with those things creatively as a tool, as a design tool, like a pencil. It's there's no difference to me than, you know, to a computer and a pencil. And the same for AI or VR. And I've got students that are working with those things already. And it's a tool. It's a tool like any other.
Okay. I guess this question is asked by your former students.
Yeah.
So, and she asked you, do you have any suggestion for an independent designer label? Like.
So you regard launching a label?
I think right now she's already like, you know, the independent designer.
Okay.
And already got her own label. Yeah.
So advice for that person?
Yes.
I think the biggest advice I could say to anyone doing their own thing is continue to do their own thing, because the problem with launching a label is sustaining that label and being able to put food on the table and eat, right, and actually making money from it. Because there are so many people doing so much of the same, the thing that's going to make you stand out eventually is your uniqueness. That becomes very difficult when you're selling to stores that are looking for a certain type of thing, and you end up designing into that to make some money. Don't lose your identity, because when you start to, if you do that too early, you disappear. The thing that's going to make you be that person that has longevity is to do what you do. The people that have the names that are going to go on forever were the people that challenged fashion. They weren't the people that did what everyone else is doing. They're the people that went against the grain. And to me, that's what fashion is. It's about a fight. It's about a challenge. It's about questioning what is it, why is this important? Why does it mean something? Is it good? Is it not good? And if it's not good, don't do it. Just be true to yourself. I think that's the best advice I can give. And if you need to do a sideline T-shirt company to make money that's not your name, to make loads of money to put back into your label, which is what I did, then do that.
Yeah. Okay. Some audience ask, we know like fashion design is probably a little bit like subjective, right? Some people like it, and some people do not like it. And from your own perspective, how to define a good work in fashion design?
That's the $1 million question. Sometimes I like fashion, sometimes I don't like it. By the way, it's a very difficult industry, right? And what makes good and what makes bad is, if I could answer that question, I would be worth millions and millions of dollars, because it is so subjective, and some people like some stuff, some people don't like some stuff. I was telling my students the other day that I used to sell some work, my collections, in Covent Garden in London, in a shop there, and it was a small boutique shop, and they used to sell like Anne-Sophie Bach, Martin Margiela, and my stuff was in there. And to make money, to be able to make my clothes to put into the shop, I used to work in the shop, and I used to work retail. And I would stand in this shop and people would walk in and they'd pick my clothes up and they'd go, "Ugh, this is horrible." And they'd put it back on the shelf, and I'd have to listen to this and go, "Oh my God, they hate my work," right? And it was hot. It was really hard. And then one day somebody came in and bought everything because they fell in love with it. And that's the bit that you wait for, right? It's like, not everyone's going to like your work, and they shouldn't. And quite honestly, I think, if a lot of designers are liked because they have lots of money and they're putting advertorials in magazines, and it's a bit of a case of the emperor's new clothes. It's like, is it good, or is it just good because it's been going for a long time? I think there needs to be room for new designers and new talent, and that room has to be created by us. We have to be boisterous about it and aggressive about it and be a bit guerrilla around it, rather than just simply expecting a knock on the door and everything's going to be great. So as much as I wish I had the answer of what makes good work and what makes bad work, I don't. And I don't think we should know, right? I think it should be different types of work for different types of people, because otherwise we all end up being the same.
Okay, so back to the FIT program.
Yes.
Okay, so are there any chance for students in FIT to study in other art colleges to get the credits or something like that?
No, there's not. So the program is 60 credits, and it's full time, and the credits are 100% assigned to this because it's so. It's a full trajectory and it builds off of everything, so you have to go through those. There are some elective spaces that you could take electives at other SUNY schools for about 6 credits, but out of those 60 credits, it's only 6 that you could potentially take an elective elsewhere. It's so designed to take you through a very systematic process of design development that there's not much room for that. But you can do it on top of it if you want. Why not? Okay, so it's not like a prohibits you to do that. No, of course not.
Okay, so some people ask like, how can what an undergrad student should do to prepare to apply for this program?
Again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. What you can do to prepare for this program is do what you do, right? Don't try and do what you think I'm looking for. If you try and predict what I'm looking for, you will fail. What you have to do is go, what am I good at? What am I selling? What am I trying to do with my career? Am I a really good pattern cutter? Am I really good at textiles? Am I really good at draping? What am I really good at? And that's what your portfolio should be. If you're not a drawer, don't draw, right? I can see beyond those things. What I'm looking for is your brain on a page. I'm looking for that unique approach that I've never seen before. I'm looking for someone that is really going to challenge me as well. You know, it's like I'm an old man now. I'm 43 years old this year. I know my fashion and I know where I come from and I know what I like and I know what I dislike. I'm still growing, I'm still learning. But the thing that excites me the most about education and being an educator is that when somebody comes to me and shows me things I've never seen before, introduces me to books I've never read, introduces me to music I've never heard, shows me documentaries, all sorts of things. Because, you know, you're doing things that I'm not doing. And that's where the modernity comes in. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you about my favorite design work, my favorite books, and it becomes the Kyle show, and that's not what this is about, right? It's about me working with you to develop an individual independent vision, as opposed to me making you another version of me, because we don't need any more of me either. One's enough. That's what my mum said.
So, like, you know, like, do you have any, you know, suggestion for the portfolio, for the application portfolio? I mean, what you prefer to see in the portfolio?
It's hard. I mean, you know, it's difficult. I mean, there is a listing on the website. The deadline is March 15th this year, by the way, for this year's application process. There is a 30-page portfolio that is listed on the website. The first 20 pages are your past and present work and what you're doing now. And then the final 10 pages are 10 pages of future. So those 10 pages are pages of work that is evidencing the work that you're doing already that is in relationship to your thesis idea. So you're going to write a proposal. That proposal is about 1,000 words, 750,000 words. And then those final 10 pages support visually the written proposal. So when I look at your portfolio, I look at your past and your present to see your skills. This person can do X, Y, Z, right? Then I look at the 10 pages of future alongside your written application, your proposal, and I see if they match. Now, you also have to remember when you apply for an MFA, you're coming here to answer questions. Your proposal shouldn't be about, when I come, I am going to do. Your proposal should be, I am questioning what, if, how, why, if I do this work, how will it work, how will it develop? If you've already answered the questions, don't come, don't apply. You're coming here to investigate and explore those questions, and that's what your proposal should be, and that's what your portfolio should be. If your portfolio has no room for conversation, if it's done and it's all finished with these croquis and, you know, everything's finished, I have nothing to talk to you about. So if your portfolio raises questions in me to go, what is this? This is interesting. How did you do that? What's this? How's that? Bum, bum, bum. Then that's a good portfolio. If your portfolio is like, I am a fashion design robot, no fun. But if your portfolio has room for conversation, room for exploration, room for invention, room for innovation, all that stuff that are beautiful words that you come in as a menswear designer obsessed with pink and you graduate as a sock designer. How did you get there? You know, and being open to that evolution of self and who knows what comes next, you know? It's like, and that's the beautiful thing about life generally, right? If you're willing to explore and find out who you can become, then, and you continue to do that with your life, then you know you're on the right track.
Okay. We got a lot of questions actually.
Okay.
So some people ask, what make you choose this field and doing this for a long time? I mean, did you like at some at certain point change your mind and what do you think? What do you think the meaning of fashion design?
Lots of questions there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've always known I was going to be a fashion designer. I mean, from the age of 7, I think, my grandmother taught me how to knit. My mother taught me how to sew. My father was an engineer on the oil rigs in the Atlantic Ocean, so he was always drawing mechanical drawings. And I just put them all together like a jigsaw puzzle. And even at the age of 8, 9, 10, when my mother was telling me this is the right way to use a sewing machine, I would always ask the question why. And I would try and put like trash bags through the sewing machine, and she would get really mad at me because I would break it all the time and break her knitting machine. And so I learned my skills very early. I learned how to do the work, but I also asked the question, why is this the right way of doing something, from a very early age. yes, I've thought about changing my career, maybe once a week, maybe, because everybody goes, I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, like, 35 years of actually making clothes and designing clothes and talking about clothes and talking about fashion. And there's days where I'm like, oh my God, is there something else in the world? I mean, I'd love to open a florist, maybe when I retire. But the fact is, it's an amazing industry. It's like, if you get in there and you live it, and and you really push your own skill set, and my work. The thing I find really interesting is that when I have students that tell me I'm not that kind of designer. I've been doing this for 35 years and I still don't know what kind of designer I am. I go from my graduate collection, which was all frilly and very ultra feminine, to my current work, which is all around making paper dolls, which is very architectural, pattern cutting driven. You should be all these different types of people. What was the last question you had there? The last part of that question?
Like, what's the meaning of fashion design, do you think?
Again, it's different for everyone, right? I mean, some people are in fashion design to sell clothes. I'm in fashion design to tell stories. I'm in fashion design to change the world, to make people wonder, the fantasy, the magnificence, and the way in which clothing can mirror society and impact society and inform and change. And clothes can change the world. Clothes do change the world. I mean, if you look at clothes through history, there's a massive amount of like political reference to clothing that are powerful points in time. You're going from the corset to the miniskirt in the space of 100 years. That's phenomenal to think about that. So, what do clothes represent? I mean, and what is the meaning of them? Whatever meaning you give them. It's like you can give it meaning, or you can just design clothes to sell clothes. I think there's a big difference between a fashion designer and a clothing designer. I think clothing is something that fashion designers use as a language, and I think clothing designers design clothes to sell clothes. And I think there's a very big difference between the two.
Yeah, so I mean, like you taught both in UK and the US,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, how the design education is different in those two countries?
For me, there is no difference because I was taught in the UK and I teach from that system, right? So I went to the Royal College of Art. I had amazing teachers, amazing mentors, people that literally changed my lives with words that they said to me when I was a student. So I teach that way. I teach the way I was taught. I think there's a difference in regards. I mean, you also have to realize that the majority of American schools are, the people that are in senior positions are British trained at the Royal College of Art or Central St Martin's. So there's a massive sort of influence from the British schools in American design education now, and has been for maybe 10 years or plus. You look at San Francisco and you look at Parsons and you look at Pratt, and there's lots of British trained design people. It's a very small industry. We all know each other. The difference, I don't see a difference. I think there was a difference before I was part of it, but I've been lucky enough to be part of that change. I mean, Simon Collins was my boss at Parsons, and Simon was an amazing mentor and gave us room to really invent and push the boundaries of the curriculum at Parsons. And that's now become a roller coaster. Parsons and other schools are all, moving forward into a much more dynamic, able to compete with British schools now, whereas once upon a time, they didn't.
Okay, so what's your opinion about the current state of fashion?
How long have we got? So the current state of fashion. I mean, again, it's different for everyone. But as I said, there's a difference between fashion design and clothing design. One of the things that I find very difficult is celebrity endorsements. I find them problematic in that they take a lot of attention away from designers that have been in college for 6 years plus, really honing their craft, pushing their craft, and then people that are just simply becoming fashion designers because they can afford to, because they're a celebrity. I find that space a little problematic. That being said, there are some amazing designers that have broke into the industry from a pop career who are really good designers as well. So, you know, it's not all positive and negative. It's not all negative. There are some positives that come out of this. I think the biggest problem with the industry is, like I said, is speed and the amount of work that is expected of someone. It's I do a lot of work called shrinking fashion, which is around mental health and fashion. And, you know, people are exhausted and are expected to produce at such a high level all the time that it impacts them mentally, physically, emotionally, and it either puts them into a, you know, a mental health state of depression and anxiety, or they kill themselves. And that's not okay. That, you know, to simply be designing clothes, to produce so much all the time, that we don't even need all that stuff. There's a real problem in that we don't need all this stuff. We don't need to be generating so much. We need to be generating more meaningful work, more time around the work, so that you don't end up in a mental institution for designing clothes. It doesn't make sense to me. So that's why I designed the program the way I designed it. I slowed it down so the students have time to reflect and analyze what they're doing, why they're doing it, and to enjoy it. You know, this is supposed to be fun. If you're not enjoying the work, you're in the wrong job. It's that simple.
Okay, so last question.
Yeah.
So use 3 words to describe what design mean to you.
I've used them all already. Invention, play, and fun. Like play and fun are the same, I guess. I think, yeah, invention is the most important word. Playfulness and just like enjoyment, you know. I think those would be the 3 words. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, and if you you can contact WeDesign if you need anything from me. Thank you, bye.